Live from the KWQC Broadcast Center, this is TV6 News at 10.
It's been another day and night of severe weather. From the storms overnight,
it's going to take a couple of weeks at least to get everything back up, cleaned up to the way it's supposed to be,
to widespread damage from a violent system this afternoon and into the evening.
We've seen flash flooding in streets. And now some city officials are predicting nearly record-setting river levels.
This is a fast-moving freight train.
We've been all over the area, and we're bringing you team coverage.
Those storms top your first 6 minutes tonight. Good evening, everyone. I'm Gary Mativier.
And I'm Sharon DeRick. We've seen serious flooding, damage to home and properties. This afternoon, storms already responsible for at least one death. A man in Lynn County was killed in a building collapse.
And after heavy rains and dangerous winds passed through during the early evening hours, another system swept through tonight, bringing even stronger storms.
And as we wait to get a clearer picture of just how much damage we've seen in our area, we're just now seeing those storms pass. Chief Meteorologist Eric Maitland is here now with a closer look at the storm's path.
Yeah, and we're not completely out of the woods yet. We still have some of those heavy thunder showers off to the south of the Metro Quad Cities. But like line number 1 this afternoon, line 2 came through with very heavy rain. And to put that same amount of rain on top of the ground that was already saturated from this afternoon just didn't work. The water had no place to go. That's why we see some very widespread reports of flash flooding.
And this is the scene in East Moline tonight. Deep water flooding streets, cars stalling out, homes and buildings threatened by rising waters.
Yeah, one of the many streets throughout the Quad Cities tonight, just like this. And here in East Moline, the waters at this location appear to be surrounding the public works, so a lot of standing water out there tonight. Heavy rain also pushing creeks throughout the QCA out of their banks.
Yeah, this small creek running through Parkview is now 10 times its normal size. Longtime residents say this is the highest they've ever seen that creek.
Typically, this creek runs about 1 or 2 feet wide, and it's not unusual when we get heavy rains for it to come up maybe 5, 6, 8 feet wide at the most. But I think because of the rain we had yesterday, and then the first round of storms, and then followed by the second round of storms, especially with these heavy rainfall rates, we now see that the creek is on the order of 75, maybe as much as 100 feet wide.
Well, storms earlier in the afternoon brought strong winds and damage as well. In Delmer and Charlotte, several branches down from trees.
In Jackson County, more damage. 3 snapped, crops flattened, signs down. KWQC's Katie Alexander out surveying the damage. Continues our coverage tonight, showing us one of the highest points in Jackson County with some incredible damage.
Here we had a lean-to back behind the barn. There should be, this is walled off at one time with the lean-to. As you can see, it's gone. There's nothing there.
That lean-to blown into the nearby loafing shed, bringing that roof down on 2 RV campers. The wind also damaging Patrick Nolan's house, shed, and chicken coop, and snapping large pines like toothpicks.
Pretty good wind.
You can see the twisted metal blown at least 100 yards through this cow pasture. The animals here shaken up but doing okay. Other animals on this property not so lucky.
We got the little donkey down and some sheep that are hurt. That's the worst of it. The rest of this stuff can be replaced.
Nolan says it's still too early to have any sort of damage estimate. He says the insurance adjuster was actually at his property surveying damage from last night's storms when they saw this line of storms approaching.
And he ran away, left me a card and said he'd be back tomorrow.
Finding reason to laugh, even as he surveys the destruction on his property.
Now you can see I've got plenty of sheet metal for sale, a couple of campers, probably go pretty cheap.
And he says he knows things could always be worse.
Now I think I'm going to go in and have a drink and think about all the work I'm going to have to do tomorrow.
Nolan says he's just glad he is safe and will be around for tomorrow. And he'll get right to work rebuilding all that he has lost. In Jackson County, Katie Alexander, KWQC, TV6 News.
A number of local communities are still assessing damage from today's storm. Debris in parts of our area contributing to other storm-related problems as well.
Let's go to Muscatine, where KWQC's Mark Stevens picks up the coverage. Debris in a local creek causing flooding concerns tonight, Mark.
Gary, this video shows just how much water would gather in Muscatine this afternoon during that first line. All of it was heading down the Mississippi through Mad Creek. Now, the Army Corps of Engineers added a floodgate at Mad Creek and 2nd Avenue in downtown 2 years ago to cut off the creek from flooding that portion of town. And that's where the battle against flash floodwaters was focused this afternoon.
Because they've already had 2 or 3 cars flooded down there. They're taking wood out of Mad Creek, and these cars just keep trying to get through. And I'm absolutely amazed that they will not turn around.
Diana Struck's wagging finger wasn't enough to keep drivers from attempting to navigate past Mad Creek, where Muscatine Public Works crews were worried about what was flowing down the stream.
The bigger stuff's up against the bridge, and it's going to start backing up, and we may have to shut this flood wall if it gets to the point. Because if it don't, it'll run down in the street, run into the Hahn buildings, and absolutely don't want that.
A backhoe was called in to start dragging tree trunks out of the swollen stream as neighbors looked on, hoping the floodgate could remain open.
It's a pain because, like, everything is over there. You know, we go over there. My boyfriend goes to work at GBC there. We shop at Hy-Vee Drug normally. And then, like, my other job's over there, so it's a pain to go all the way around all of this.
The battle against the tree trunks proved successful this round, although Public Works warns the floodgate may have to close if the river rises as forecast.
Possibly by Saturday it could be over 23 feet, which would put it at maybe the 2nd or 3rd highest level. But that was, I don't know if that was before the rain of today and how much they got north of us. So it's hard to say.
In Muscatine, Mark Stevens, KWQC, TV6 News.
And back to the QC Metro, this was the scene as drivers drove along by the old Kraft plant that's on Stark Street in Davenport. As you can see that there's some big puddles there as cars continue to try to make it through. That water also moving very fast.
And now we move from street flooding, what all of today's rain and the rain to the north is doing, to the Mississippi. It is the second part of our team coverage tonight.
A very big part of the days to come. The river expecting to crest this weekend, perhaps at 21.8 feet, one of the highest crests ever.
Yeah, and there are already changes across the QCA. Rhythm City Casino is closed tonight and will be until those waters go back down. And the Mississippi Valley Blues Festival is moving. It's going to be on 2nd Street in downtown Davenport between Main and Ripley Streets.
Tonight we're learning that the river level, also part of the reason a popular QCA tradition, has now been canceled. Red, White, and Boom called off for this Thursday. The committee says that decision came down to a matter of safety.
KWQC's Bailey Dietz says those flooding concerns are serious.
There's some really big water trending across Iowa as we speak.
Because of that, the Mississippi is going to continue to rise this week. Even so, Davenport Public Works Director Mike Clark says he and others were a little taken aback by the latest flood forecast.
18 feet was my big guess. 18 to 21 to 22. Yeah, I was kind of surprised.
Davenport crews are setting flood protection for up to 24 feet. HESCO barriers are up on parts of River Drive downtown to protect nearby buildings. The flood wall surrounding Modern Woodman Park is complete, and businesses that could be threatened by the rising water are being offered sandbags.
Getting in contact with the owners of those businesses and saying, here's what we believe is going to happen. How can we help you?
In Moline, River Drive between 23rd and 55th Streets is closed because of water already on the road. Crews are preparing sandbags, readying pumps, and have begun to shut floodgates. Businesses and residents up and down River Drive are being told to prepare.
We're in the middle of a very uncertain situation, and so it's always better for us to be prepared to a proper elevation of protection up front.
In Rock Island, Schwiebert Park will be closed Tuesday and Wednesday for crews to put up flood walls. Here, it's a fraction of the flood preps that are required back across the river, but Clark says even though it's coming up quickly,
this is a fast-moving freight train.
It's enough time for his crews to put the plan in place.
Our folks are very experienced, and so having to put in full flood protection in 24 hours is not a big drill for us.
Yeah, a lot of work to be done. Meanwhile, tonight, we keep getting reports of fires. Lightning apparently struck a home in Fire Lake near Sherrard this evening. That caused a small fire. Firefighters say the damage could have been worse, but the homeowner was there. The lightning apparently followed the wires through the attic down into the wall behind the stove. Crews were able to contain it. They say they respond to lightning fires like this at least once a year. Most often during this time, the Red Cross is helping the 4 people who live in that home.
And, of course, whenever severe weather hits, we have all the resources you need on our website, KWQC.com. You can stay up to date on rising river levels, road closures, and the most recent forecast. And you can take the KWQC weather team with you wherever you go with our free weather app.
We want to get the latest on the power outages right now, as we do know that thousands of people are in the dark tonight. Mid-American representative is on the phone right now. Thank you for your time to be with us tonight, Ruth.
Thank you.
The big question that everybody has on their mind, with so many out, can you give us some sort of a timeline when you can get them restored?
Well, we've had a lot of storm damage in the Quad Cities, both on the Iowa side and the Illinois side. The second wave of the storm that came through this evening was much stronger than the one that came through earlier. And so our crews are still out right now assessing the damage in the area. So we won't have an estimate until we're able to get out into all those areas and complete that assessment.
And Ruth, I assume a lot of these power outages are a result of trees taking out some power lines?
Yes, we have a lot of down power lines. We want to make sure that everyone's aware that if you see a power line down, please assume it's live, stay clear of it, and you can call into Mid-American Energy and report that. That number to report power outages or downed lines is 800-799-4443.
And regardless of whether people think you may know already of their area, you encourage them to call that number if their power is out tonight to make sure?
Yes, absolutely. If you don't have power, please call into that number. That helps us in assessing where the damage is and where we need to get those crews. We've called in extra crews, and even more crews are on the way. We're going to keep working around the clock until power is restored.
Yeah, busy night in store for you. Thank you for taking the time. Ruth with Mid-American
Thank you.
Tonight. And there is a link to the outage map on our website as well. You can, of course, get that through the mobile device at KWQC.com.